We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you stand for the pledge? Joe, would you lead us in the pledge? Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machoto.
Here.
Michael Rather.
Here.
Jared Barrett.
Here.
Thane Cantrell.
Present.
You have a quorum, sir, and all voting members are present.
Okay, all regular members are present. We'll be voting tonight. Have the minutes of the February and March meetings. Are there any changes or additions? We'll take these up, both of them at the same time. Are there any corrections, changes to the minutes of those 2 months?
I'll make a motion to be approved.
Have a motion to be approved.
I second it.
Have a second. This is for both of them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Those are approved. Are we going to do any old business? We don't need to do that. Okay, so we don't need to even talk about that. Okay, good. First item of business we have is a request from Surefire Fireworks. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2013-14 involves the property located at 2712 Las Casas Pike, and it's a commercial services zone property. It's developed as a gas station and country convenience market, and Surefire Fireworks would like to locate their fireworks stand here for the 3-week period before July 4th, and they have operated multiple fireworks stands throughout the county in previous years. This represents a new site for the applicant. However, we've not had any problems in the past with this particular applicant and their operations with fireworks stands. We took photos of the property. We posted a sign on the property. The applicant has included a site plan that's in your staff report. We find that the application meets the criteria, and they'll have to pull the adequate permits at the time of permitting. And the site is surrounded by residential uses to the north of Las Casas, and to the east and west directions are commercial properties, one being the Dollar General site that had a fireworks stand last year, and we expect that they'll request it next month. So one person came in and they expressed their concern with the traffic in this area, especially since the development of the Dollar General store. And so any additional traffic would cause them concern because of potential for hazard. And we recommend approval. And just go through. Sorry, it's taking forever to load on this screen. And the convenience mart that's developed, the fireworks stand would be located on the side between the convenience mart and the Dollar General. So this open area that you see will be occupied by the proposed tent. And this is pretty much the site layout. So you can see where the tent will be located in relation to the store and the gasoline canopy in Las Casas Pike. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Walpole. I'm with Surefire Fireworks. And we're just asking permission to put the tent there for a couple
You've
of weeks.
managed this before.
I've managed other locations. This would actually be a new location for us, but yes, sir.
Any questions? Thank you. Just stay up here. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion it be approved.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, we have another one from your agency, so what do you have on that?
You. This property is located at the intersection of Highway 99 and Clear Ridge Drive. Application 2013-15 requests special exception approval, a temporary approval, for a fireworks stand located in a commercial services zone. This represents a site that they have operated a stand from the past 2 years, I believe, and we've not had any problems in the past with the operation of the stand from the Clear Ridge site. The application meets all the criteria, and we may have received one informational call regarding the application, but there was no indication of opposition. It was just out of curiosity. And so these are photos of the site. They will use the common access that's between Dollar General and the existing commercial site. That access is built to serve all three lots off of that particular driveway or access point from Highway 99. And we posted a sign on the property, and that concludes our presentation.
Okay, any questions while she's up here? Do you have anything you want to add to this? Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion be approved.
Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I second it.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, we have a third site on the Lebanon Highway from Surefire.
Thank you. Application 2013-16 involves a request for a temporary special exception approval for the sale of fireworks from a property located in the commercial neighborhood zone. This property is located at 6044 Lebanon Pike. It's a 1.60 acre parcel. The applicant has located their fireworks stand probably prior to 2008, but since 2008, every single year up until 2012, and we've never had any issues with the stand located at the site, provided that they met all the conditions. And you're familiar with the site because we processed the produce stand from this particular location. And it's developed as a gas station with canopy, gas canopy and convenience mart. It's surrounded by residential and commercial uses. And that's the produce stand that you looked at last year. We've not received any phone calls regarding this application, and I'm just advancing to the site plan that the applicant has supplied. And we posted the sign on the property, and this will conclude our presentation.
Do you have anything you wanted to add to this site? Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this site. Close the public hearing. If we have a motion on it.
Be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion it be approved.
I'll second it.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Bensari Patel, who is requesting a fireworks stand on the Shelbyville Highway. What do you have on that?
Thank you. Application 2013-17 involves a request for a temporary special exception approval allowing the sale of fireworks on the property located in a commercial neighborhood zone. And you're also familiar with this site, however, it's a different applicant. This applicant actually operated a fireworks stand from the site last year, with Absolute Fireworks operating the stand from this location the prior years. But this is the actual owner that is applying, as they did last year. The site's located at 5855 Shelbyville Highway at the intersection of Shelbyville and Ellis Drive. It's developed as a convenience store, gas station, and they own 2 lots that are accessed using the same drives. And on the second commercial zone lot is the location at which they have placed the fireworks stand in the past. And it does not affect the existing traffic flow of the property, nor does it affect the parking that's provided for customers. And we've not received any phone calls regarding this request, and we recommend approval subject to conditions that are explained in the staff report. And these are photos of the surrounding area and the access areas and drive areas of the existing convenience store and the vacant parcel that is also accessed from these drives. We posted a sign on the property, and as you can see, they own both of these sites. Both of them are zoned commercial, and this is the location of the tent. And that concludes.
This is the same site as last year, is that?
Yes, sir.
We have someone here represent, you don't have to come up. Do we have any questions? We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Have a
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item we have is a request by George McDowell, who is, what do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2013-18 involves a special exception approval for an accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the particular standards for by right accessory dwelling units for a property located in a residential medium density zoning district. The applicant, George McDowell, the property is located at 608 Drew Street. It's a older developed subdivision with smaller lots. And the reason that this request is coming before you is to develop the ADU on your property by right, you have to have a minimum of 1 acre. And Mr. McDowell had remodeled an existing garage to include an independent dwelling unit for his daughter to reside in without obtaining the appropriate permits. And once he was notified that he needed to come in and receive the permits to actually use the structure for a dwelling unit, he needed to get zoning approval, and since he did not meet the by right standard of 1 acre, he has to come before you and obtain approval before he can get a permit. Now, you won't see, the garage was originally permitted, and nothing is going to change with the site. It was permitted as a garage, and he built it as a garage, and this is a result of a remodeling project later on. We have received a phone call in opposition, just concerned about the general property values and just the multiple structures on the property. But he's allowed to have a dwelling unit to convert a existing detached accessory structure into a dwelling unit, provided he meets standards, and that includes having a building permit to determine that he meets the building code standards for a residence. And so these are photos of the property. That's the actual garage that the dwelling unit is constructed within. And this is the subdivision. You see the intersection of Drew Street and Dale Street. Surrounding homes in the area. We posted a sign on the property, and we recommend approval subject to conditions and with the allowance that he can locate an ADU on less than 1 acre. And that concludes our presentation.
Hey, do we have someone here representing this? If you'll come around, please. give us your name and any additional information you'd like to share.
My name is George McDowell. I reside in the house at 608 Drew Street. Basically, what I
Speak
did,
into the microphone.
I reside in the house at 608 Drew Street, and originally I built the garage for a garage, and then my daughter was needing a place to live, so I decided I would put her a little mother-in-law suite, a mini apartment type thing in the garage. At the time, I really didn't know I had to have a permit to just do inside work on this thing, but come to find out I have to have special authorization, which I'm now trying to receive. If anybody has any questions, I can answer.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion be approved.
Have a motion may be approved. We have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
It is approved. The next item we have is a request by Tiffany Hudson. This is a Red Frog event. Tell us about it.
Thank you. Application 2013-19 involves a request for temporary special exception approval for a community event to take place October 5th, 2013 on a property located in the residential medium density residential zone. The property is located off of Rucker Christiana Road. The address is 6007, and it is also located along Miller Johnson Road. It's 256 acres. And the applicant is requesting to hold an event. It's called the Warrior Dash, and it will be held during the hours of 8:30 to 5:30. And they'll have multiple waves of people that will go through this 5K run and obstacle course. And they will also have a festival area with tents serving food and drink. Live music performances will also be part of the festival event. The applicant, based on the number of waves of people that start every half hour between 9 to 2, we calculated with the maximum number that they would allow up to 6,000 people. The applicant did submit an operational management plan that covers everything from the temporary toilet facilities to emergency provisions, traffic. And we included that in your packet so you could see how they've accounted for all of that. However, in addition to what the applicant stated in the operational management plan, we also contacted both our fire department and Fire Chief Larry Farley, as well as the Sheriff's Department, to incorporate any kind of concerns or recommended conditions from their departments for the event. And the applicant, the fire chief, had some concerns about the types of emergency personnel that they will be using for the event, and the applicant responded, and he was satisfied with the responses that was provided by the applicant. The Sheriff's Department had concerns, just as staff did in its staff report, regarding the traffic that would affect Parsons Road and Rucker Christiana Road on that particular day, and we even indicated that, traffic was a concern of ours. However, the Sheriff's Department indicated today, speaking with Chief Deputy Randy Garrett, and they just wanted to ensure that all the right-of-ways remain free of free flow, that traffic could continue to flow, that those right-of-ways that are affected or will be affected by the event, he'd have to schedule additional staff to work that particular day. And his concerns dealt mainly with traffic, safety, and security. However, he feels that all of these concerns could be redressed or resolved by requiring the applicant to meet with the Sheriff's Department a minimum of 45 days prior to the event to coordinate traffic, safety, and security control plans. So if he said all of their concerns that they had regarding that, they could be handled closer to the event time as long as they met with the applicant. And if staff if the board chooses to approve it, we'd like to incorporate this condition into the recommended conditions. The recommended conditions also that we include that they have to obtain all permits that are required, whether it's the beer permit or permits for the tents that are located for the festival event. So we have received many informational calls. We are aware of one person that's in opposition. I believe they will just go over their concerns with you tonight. And this is Rucker Christiana Road. As you can see, the parking will be accessed directly off of Rucker Christiana Road, and it's an open field area. The applicant has indicated in their operational management plan that they will have people that are hired that will continually direct traffic and keep the flow going so that there's no issues. And this open area is actually located where Parsons Road comes out onto Rucker Christiana. And as you can see, this is where Parsons Road comes out, and the open area is located directly across from that stop sign. We posted a sign on the property, and it's obviously the type of event that we're considering is dependent on having a large acreage tract, and so that's why this particular site was selected, because you don't find too many tracts this large within a higher developed area. So. Just the view of Parsons. And just advance to the plans that were submitted by the applicant. This is a zoomed-in site plan showing the general location of the areas where the festival will be held. That area is surrounded by wooded area, so the festival activities might not be visible from the right-of-way. However, all the parking and that activity associated with that would be directly visible from the road and surrounding properties. The applicant also submitted a detail showing the layout of the festival and the location of tents, the bathrooms, an emergency medical tent. You can see we included that in your packets to review. And they also supplied a course map or general course map that shows that they will not affect adjacent properties. And that concludes our presentation.
Let me stress 2 or 3 things here before we go any further. Now, if we approve this site, they must comply with the provision found in Section 1101 of the Rutherford County Zoning Ordinance. Also, the management plan must be reviewed by local officials. Now, that's the Planning and Engineering Department, the Sheriff's Department, and any other that would be appropriate. You have listed those 2.
Absolutely, and also to incorporate within this condition, Ms. Chief Garrett's 45-day, a minimum of 45 days to sit down with the Sheriff's Department.
Also, they would have to get the required permits, which State Health Department, the Beer Board, all of these groups would have to comply with their standards. Now, this is for a 1-day only, October the 5th. So even though we may consider this site, they still have an uphill climb to comply with all of these other agencies. We have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please give us your name and any additional information.
Hello, my name is Adam Kimball. I'm representing Red Frog Events and Warrior Dash. Regarding the information that was just presented, we will go through all of the necessary permitting to make sure that all of those provisions are secured. We put on around 45 of these events across the country on an annual basis, and we always comply with the local rules and policies and obtain all the necessary permits to do all the things that were just discussed. Regarding the traffic for the event, we will be working with the Sheriff's Office and the Department of Transportation to come up with a very good traffic plan. In addition, as was mentioned previously, we will have a professional parking crew that works large major events all over the country in different areas, and they will be directing the actual parking of the event. I know it was stated that the participant numbers could reach up to 6,000. Currently, it's at 1,167, and we're anticipating around the 3,000 range, which we've had an event not at this location, but in Tennessee the last 2 years, and it's been in the neighborhood of 3,000. So I think all those factors considered, we will secure the proper permits and make sure we comply with all of the aforementioned rules.
Have any questions? Joe? I have a few questions for you.
Sure. Ain't working. Okay, that your parking area there, how many acres is in that?
That is about 12 acres.
12 acres. How many cars will that park?
That can park around 1,600, maybe a little more if we park it really efficiently.
In other words, if you pull 6,000 people that you sometimes pull, you could not possibly park those cars in that small area, and all the rest of it is wooded area. And I'm very familiar with this area because I personally live in this area. And these roads are very narrow roads. What would you do with traffic?
We would be monitoring the participant numbers, and if it reached a point where we couldn't fit people on the property anymore, then we would secure an additional location for people to park. But I don't anticipate that based on the way the numbers are projected and the way they've happened. I think if we get in the 3,000 range, that will be around 1,000 cars, maybe 1,200, and those will definitely fit on the 12 acres.
Thank you.
Joe?
Where were your past events held at?
The last 2 years, we held it at the location where the Bonnaroo Music Festival is held, if you're familiar with that area.
And it said that y'all had some out west. If we call the people where you had these at and ask them what type of event you put on, what would they tell us?
They would tell you that we put on a very well-run event. We take into consideration the land and making sure that the communities, the things in the area aren't affected by what we do. We come in, and when we leave, it's as if we were never there. And I actually, if you're interested, I've only got 10 copies of each, but I've got 2 different letters of recommendation. One from a public park in Michigan, and another one from a mayor of a town in Missouri. And I can show you those letters of recommendation from previous Warrior Dash events that we've held.
Why are you not going back to the Bonnaroo property this year?
Why are we not?
Yeah.
We like to switch up the locations, and if we've been in a place for a while, we don't tend to go back there. And it was just a matter of wanting to work with some different folks. It became tough working with some of the people there, so we decided to look into alternate locations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jerry?
Yeah, so if you just have an onrush of participants and parking, that you said you would secure another position, parcel, do you already have that planned? Do you know where that is?
We've looked into some places. There's an adjacent property that has some parcels of land that they'd be willing to possibly rent to us.
But that would not be approved.
Correct. Yeah, that would be an additional. We'd have to go through a different process for that in order to do that. Or there's always the option of having off-site parking in a different location where we would have to shuttle participants in. But for now, we don't foresee that happening.
You have a cutoff number.
Yeah, the cutoff number would be in the 6,000 range, and if we decided that there would be an issue with securing an additional location for parking and working with the local officials here, then we would cut it off sooner than that so that we could make sure that we park all of the cars on that property.
I read through your entire plan, but there's nothing mentioned about cleanup after the event. How do we know you're not going to take your money and run?
That's a very fair question. We stay, so the crew that we have for the event arrives early in the week. They come in stages, so the first people get there a full week prior to the event, and then we are there. So the event will take place on Saturday. We will have our own staff there until Monday cleaning up the event. We also hire out professional trash crews, and they do cleanups all during the event and afterwards. And then we, as I said, for anything that isn't covered by them, we stay days after the event and make sure that everything is taken care of. And like I said, that's a big part of what we do. We want to really minimize the impact and leave the property as it was or in better shape than when we got there.
The last question I have is, have you talked to any of the neighbors around there?
Yes, we have.
No problems?
There's been some people expressing concerns, and primarily it was with the traffic, concerned about that, and I think we have adequately addressed those issues. There still might be some concerns, but working with the local sheriff's department and the Department of Transportation, they know how to make everything flow properly, and I think with the spacing of the participants as well, that's another thing to factor in, is that the wave times will be open from 9 until 2, so it won't, if there's 3,000 people, they won't all be coming at once. There'll be people coming from 7 a.m. to get there early all the way until 1 p.m. And so we see people come in, and then those people end up leaving and filtering out as other cars are coming in during the day. So it's in waves, and the parking takes place that way as well. So everybody isn't all there at the same time.
The parking company, and I'm understanding to be like an event where you're pulling them in the middle of the field and lining them up and such, but would like the sheriff's department be the people that's out on the road?
Yes, that is correct.
Have Joe Blow with a flashlight out in the road?
No, the sheriff's department will be running the actual traffic on the roads, and then as it gets into the property, we'll have a parking unit dispersing the cars and making sure that they're lined up properly.
All my questions. Thank you.
Keith?
Yeah, I got a few, Mr. Chairman. One of them I've got is the beverages being served. Yeah, you plan on serving beer, and I understand you'll have to go through the beer board and get a permit to do that. But let me ask you this: age limit. What is there going to be? What's the age limit? Is this going to be just limited to adults coming to this event, or?
Children 14 and up can participate.
Okay.
In terms of the beer, we have very strict policies with that. We have multiple ID check stands where you have to go present your ID to get a wristband, and then as you come to the beer tent, they check the wristband, and if you don't have one, you can't get anything. And we hire out a security company as well, and they keep a close eye on anybody that, if anything looks out of the ordinary, they monitor that very closely to ensure that nobody underage is consuming.
Okay. One other question I got is, I see where, of course, you're going to have a stage and you'll have bands. One band, multiple bands?
One band.
One band.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: what hours, what time are they going to be playing? This event is just during the day?
It's right now it's scheduled to go the wave times go from 9 until 2, and then the event is usually open an hour and a half or so after the last wave time. So right now it would be from about 9 until 3:30.
Okay.
So the band would start playing around 10 o'clock, and they would probably play till the conclusion of the event with breaks in between.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: with the band playing, what about noise levels? Because this is a rural area.
Certainly.
So if a band's going to be playing out in the middle of this field, everybody around there is going to hear it. I guarantee it.
And that's something that we always take into consideration. So it'll just be a matter of making sure that everyone around the area is notified, and if there's any concerns or any noise ordinances that we need to follow, we will be sure to comply with those.
Okay. And also see where you're going to have like a jumbotron or whatever. I guess this is to go along with the band, the stage, or?
Yeah, we normally just have some larger TVs that have video footage of the runners that are running. So.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Jared?
Going with Keith's point about noise, I see here you got fireworks. What kind of display is that going to be? How big?
That actually is not the case anymore. So that's a misprint. Yeah, we no longer have fireworks at our events. We used to, but not anymore.
Right.
Correct.
And then what about I know we mentioned this earlier, but no camping at this
No
thing? Nobody's
camping,
going to be
no.
overnight? Okay.
No.
Any other questions? Joe?
Well, I guess the biggest concern I have right now is the parking. And right now you say you can park about 1,600 cars in that area. And that's the number of participants you've got, no, not that many, but anyway. If you get a lot more and you have to have more parking, I would like to, if we do approve this, I'd like to put something in there that if your numbers increase, that you're going to have some parking ahead of time.
Yep.
Approved by us or by somebody in planning.
That's definitely fair. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Michael?
Have you had an instance in another place where the parking was not adequate and you had to get additional parking at the last minute?
We have not. We always, if it's going to be somewhat of an issue, or we perceive it to possibly cause an issue, we secure a backup location ahead of time. So that would be something that as we were just talking about, we would monitor the numbers, and normally a couple months out from the event, if it's looking like it's projecting a certain way, then we'll secure that additional area as a backup, and then hopefully we wouldn't have to use it, but we would have it in case.
You're not opposed to going ahead and doing that, and when you meet with Chief Garrett or the sheriff or whoever at the sheriff's office to make that part of the plan is to go ahead and secure that site, and so the sheriff's office knows about it before they get there, and the emergency crews and everybody else?
Yeah, most definitely. I think we'll most certainly do that, and the way that we typically do this in terms of coming to visit the property is somewhere between usually about 2.5 months out from the event. We come and do a site visit, and we get all of the local authorities together and meet with all of them, make sure everything is on par, everything is either taken care of or in the process of being taken care of. So at that point, we would be able to make sure that we had those additional locations secured and everyone was approving it.
Okay, thank you.
Joe?
Sir, is the obstacle course on the farm or is it on the roads?
It is on the farm. So there was a previous slide that had a proposed course, and that's another thing right there. So the blue property right there, or the blue line, excuse me. And that's something that when we come on the site visit, we determine exactly where the course will go. So it might not look exactly like that, but it'll be somewhere in that range.
Tell us a little bit about your security team that will be there and how they will be handling everything. You've got to have security in this large.
Correct. So we hire out private security for the event. They always begin working on Thursday night. So when the event is on a Saturday, they begin on Thursday night because we have things there of value and we want to protect the property. So we have overnight security on Thursday, overnight security on Friday, and then we have an entire crew of security during the event day. Normally that number is between 10 and 15 officers. There's usually a handful of those, 3 to 5 are armed security guards, and the rest of them are not. And we have them stationed at various areas of the festival and kind of monitoring things. Sometimes we have them out in the parking lot and closer to the roads, depending on the presence of police and that sort of thing. So we have a very strong security presence at all of our events and make sure it's a safe environment for everybody.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. If you'll come forward. Yeah. If you give us your name and the information you'd like to share.
Kurt McMahon, and I live at 6995, which is just adjacent to the property. And my concern is that, well, we'll go with this one since it's up there. The course that we mentioned security. Where'd he go? Who am I talking to? Y'all or him?
These folks
All right, they
here.
mentioned security, and my problems are, this is a foot course, I guess. I don't know. But this is an extremely dense property, and I assume they're going to be clearing it. But my house, as you can see, sits about a half a mile off the road back in the woods. And the course runs about 100 yards from it. And, beg pardon? That's it. Yeah, that's my house right there. And of course, I have security concerns back in there because several thousand people. We like to think everybody's responsible, but as we know, that's not the case. So I mean, and I think I understood him say there was no overnight. Nobody gonna spend the night out there. Going away from that to the parking, my only concern is the traffic flow, because this field here on the front that we have for parking, go back to, can you switch slides and go back to the layout without the course on it? No, that is not the field, that parking. The parking is over here.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. And the only thing that concerns me is, of course, now the course takes in this field over here where it says Miller Johnson, which would be an alternative parking place. But this field that we're parking in, you see the dark areas? That's quicksand. It's plain and simple. It's quicksand. I mean, if there's a little bit of rain, I would like to see y'all press more on a backup parking plan, because it's probably a 90% chance they're going to have some backup parking. No, sir. The parking area at the end of Parsons Road. All those dark areas, no, quick, go back across the road. Right there. That's your parking area. Now, if we get a quarter-inch rain, they're done. And I'm just being realistic. There's going to have to be a backup parking area, and it's going to have to be a pretty significant one, because there's a strong possibility that this won't do it. And I don't want to mess it up, but I don't want to have a cluster out here.
Are you opposed to this? Are you for this? Or is it just the parking that bothers you?
No, it's where's the cars going to go? Are they come down Miller Johnson Road and turn around in my driveway? I'm concerned with the congestion. I live right next to it. I'm more concerned with the security, because they're going to be clearing out the land. They have to. It's a foot race. They have to clear the land out, which is going to expose my property. And I'm concerned with the traffic flow.
Okay. Not just the parking.
The parking is going to create the traffic flow.
Pardon me?
The parking, the inability to park the cars there is going to create the traffic flow problem.
Well, that's their problem, isn't it?
No, it's my problem if they come down Miller Johnson Road. Because I live down Miller Johnson Road. And the alternative parking would be this here, and they have one culvert.
Well, they've said they would have a backup plan.
That's what I would like to stress.
Parking, but I want to make sure.
I want y'all to be aware that this backup plan needs to be pretty strong, because the front plan is
I want to
bad.
make sure that I understand what you're saying, too. It's just not the parking. You're opposed to the whole thing. Is that right?
No, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't want it to mess up. I want it to work. No, I'm not opposed to it. I'm for anybody doing something, but I don't want all this traffic flow coming down Miller Johnson Road, and all of a sudden we're all trying to turn around in everybody's driveway, and we've got a conjunction out there. I've heard mention of a backup plan, but I haven't seen anything. Parking.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go? They're going to go down Christiana Rucker? They're going to come down Miller Johnson? Where is the backup plan? Stress the backup plan.
Well, they don't have one yet.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions while he's up here? Thank you.
Oh boy, that was. I'm Charlie Johnson. I own the property in question, so I'd like just to give you a little background, if I may, and some of my thoughts on this thing. Can you hear me all right? No?
Yeah.
The property that's been identified as parking area is a very small part of the available parking area that is available. I mean, there's another field. This field right where the Miller Johnson is written right there. That field is a very good dry field, and it's about I'd say 15 to 20 acres. I'm not really sure. It's about a 20-acre field. The field in question at the front was it was brought up about being a wet field. It is wet in the spring because almost everything in Rutherford County is wet in the spring. October is one of our driest months. September, October. I do outdoor events and have for the last 15 years. In October and and September and October are usually very dry, and if there is rain, it's fairly limited. But there's any outdoor event, there are hazards involved, and that is certainly one of them. I wouldn't deny that. But let me say this: I went down to Bonnaroo because I was going to be affected by this when I approached them and offered them the place actually to do this, because I think it would be good for our community. I think there are a lot of people in our community that would want to participate in this and would enjoy it, because especially younger people that are involved in these races, and all that. Well, at any rate, I went down there, and let me tell you, this thing is run like a fine watch. It's really run on a very professional level. And everything that I saw down there, nothing that I saw there gave me any concerns about what might be the result of them doing it at my place. So I just want to say that as far as clearing a bunch of land and exposing people's property, I don't think that that's a rough old farm out there. It's 265 acres. I bought it in 1975 from Ed Young, and Hoyt Parsons and Myers Parsons' mother was born there on that place, and the cabin that's still there actually. I bought it because it is the family place. It's our ancestral home, and I'm trying to keep it and preserve it. And as you know, making money off as a farm, it ain't much, but it is a place where I'm trying to keep it and make a little out of it if I can, this being an opportunity to do that. So I just wanted to tell you that it means a lot to me. The community means a lot to me. My family goes way back in the community, and I really don't think this is anything that would be a detriment to the community. I think it would really be something that would be a positive thing.
You're the owner of the property.
Sir?
You own the property.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, we have a question here.
Mr. Johnson, where's your house located on the property?
It's
You live on it?
no, sir, I don't.
Oh, you don't live there?
I have the old log house that's still there, that's original to the property, is
Where do you live at then?
see that red barn there, where your area is right now. There,
Okay.
right there. That's the red barn. The old house is right above that there.
Where do you live?
I live in Brentwood.
Oh, you live in Brentwood. Oh, okay.
But I have owned this farm since 1975. I bought it primarily because of the fact that it was a family location.
Okay, thank you. Joe,
Well, Mr. Johnson,
go back to the microphone, please.
I guess I'm going to ask you a question. If something goes awry out here and there's a problem, do you feel like you would be responsible as well as them, share some responsibility for anything that goes awry?
Well, let me say this. I've owned this place since '75, and while I don't live on it per se, it is my family home. It's where my great-grandfather lived, my grandmother. The house that they lived in is there. It's meant a lot to me and my family over the years, and so I have a strong feeling about the place. It's a rough old farm. It's not going to be worth much as far as agriculture goes, but I felt like this was an opportunity, knowing the track record of these people, and these people are professionals. They are, in every sense of the word, believe me. They know what they're doing, and they do it well. And based on my knowledge of them and how well they do this thing, I felt like it was an opportunity for me to make a little money to maybe pay the taxes on the place. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody here can appreciate the fact that things like that are important to a landowner. So,
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. Next. Thank you. If you'll give us your name and share whatever you need to with the board, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, my name is Michael Curtis. I live at 4900 Rucker Christiana Road, approximately 1 mile north of this site. First of all, I'd like to make it clear that I'm speaking only for myself and my family. and these comments do not reflect the opinions or desires of my workers or my employer. As I do some public speaking for these entities, I want to make sure this was clear. While this location meets a few requirements set forth in the Rutherford County zoning ordinance, there are some critical parts that are lacking. Measuring the parking area with the Rutherford County maps online from 2012 shows that there's approximately 11.1 acres of land designated for parking. According to the Federal Highway Administration, approximately 150 cars per acre is the expected density for any parking situation. Multiply the 11.1 by 150 and you get 1,665 spaces, which is what the applicant mentioned earlier. So we're in agreement there. If the cars are parked the most efficiently they can be. According to the Warrior Dash website last month, and that information is no longer there listed, in 2012 they had over 1 million participants in 65 locations. This is their information. This calculates out to 15,000 per location approximately. This would mean that they would have to have 9 people per vehicle to bring everyone in location without spilling out into the narrow country roads in this area. Even in shifts of, say, 8 runs that will overlap in time, I believe that's going to be from 9 till 2 is going to be, 5, so times 2 is every 30 minutes, that's 10 runs. That will overlap in time. The registration and shopping and partying afterwards, there's still not enough space for parking as they designated in the application. With the statement of 6,000 over that same period of time, they'll need 4 per vehicle, and if it's 3,000, they're going to need approximately 2 to 3 per vehicle. That is kind of doable, but I don't see them being able to do this event with 3,000 people. The obvious access to this location is Parsons Road, as it is a straight shot from U.S. Highway 231. This is also a road that has many subdivisions, a horse farm, and lots of children playing in the area. Also, the Christiana ball fields are accessed from this road, and fall ball will be in progress during this time. Saturdays are big game days for baseball, bringing more traffic onto the narrow Parsons Road. CSX Transportation's main line between Nashville and Chattanooga runs through this area, and there are 20 to 40 trains per day on this line. Saturdays are usually 1 per hour bidirectional. I know this because I live 500 feet from the tracks. I hear and see every single train that comes through. Northbound trains won't be a problem other than a momentary delay at the crossing at Parsons Road. But if a southbound train, approximately 8 expected during this period of event, and the time leading up to it, is stopped at the Christiana Signal approximately 3,300 feet south of the crossing at Parsons Road, and the train is of any significant length, the crossing at Parsons Road will be blocked for an unknown period of time. Where will the traffic go then? If going to the event from U.S. Highway 231, they will be stuck there as there is nowhere else for them to turn around. If leaving the event, they will turn around and go to either north on Rucker Christiana Road or south. Either direction will put a lot of traffic into a major bicycle route for both racing and recreational bicyclists. This will increase the danger for them. And Saturday is a very big day for these bicyclists. They run right by this event. This is a very narrow road with surprising twists and steep shoulders to the unaware or possibly impaired driver. There will be consumption of adult beverages on site from either booth sales or brought in by the participants. Even if there is efforts to control this, it will still happen. There will still be alcohol brought in. It is human nature. This will increase the chances of impaired drivers on the narrow country roads where horses ride, bicyclists ride, and children play. The safety plan for this event, as I read it, as presented in the application, is woefully inadequate and basically says we will handle each event as it occurs. There's an old adage, failure to plan is planning to fail, and failure in an emergency can be deadly. That's speaking as a retired fire chief. This all being said, we believe this event does not meet the following standards. 1408.C.1, the severely limited parking area, along with a potential danger to children, livestock, and bicyclists from overflow and rerouting present a significant risk to the safety and welfare of the area. 1408C.3. This application does not have sufficient parking for the expected size of the event. 1101.m.6. This application does not have sufficient parking for the expected size of the event without spilling out onto the county roads or other adjacent properties. As such, we urge you to deny this application on these specific grounds as set forth by the current Rutherford County zoning ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Mike, you oppose this, but your reasoning is just on parking. Is that
safety.
correct?
And safety. 1408C.3, or excuse me, C1 is the safety part.
Our planning staff comes up with a different interpretation. How do you make amends for that?
I'm looking at it from a different viewpoint, maybe.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Any questions? Pardon? Okay, would you come back up? Seems to be a few more questions.
One of them, the one from Missouri, was in a similar situation with two-lane country roads, and we had a very detailed traffic plan, worked with the local authorities there, and there was no issues. Regarding the concerns with security for your property, there won't be anybody even in that area until the day of the event, and then we'll have our entire construction contracting crew as well as staff out on the course, making sure that people are staying on the route. We have a very detailed route of the course, so people can't stray off of it. So I feel with all of those things, you won't run into any issues of people straying onto your property. We'll keep it very contained. Regarding the concerns with your property, I think those are valid concerns and ones that you should express. We're going to address the traffic in, as I said, in a very detailed, meticulous manner, make sure that we have a solid plan and an overfill parking area, as we discussed earlier. That way, there's no way it can go awry. And working with the local officials that know the area and the Department of Transportation, we shouldn't run into any issues there at all. We've worked in areas, just to give you an example, we've even had events not in rural areas, but inside a city. We had an event in San Diego in March, and we had a trolley going by every 15 minutes right through the middle of the course, and we worked with the Department of Transportation ahead of time, went through the proper permitting. They were prepared for it, and when everyone's prepared in advance, things work out really smoothly, and there's very minimal impact. So
We have a few questions here.
Sure.
Joe?
Yes. Well, it won't work. This the area right there where Miller Johnson Road is written, that area right in there, that can be used as parking, can it not?
yes.
It's also part of your property
That is correct.
that
Yes.
you've got.
So we can use that as well instead of going outside to.
Do you have any idea how big that is?
Yeah, around 15 acres, and that would be more than double the original area that we had designated for parking. So.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute.
Got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Keith.
One I addressed earlier was about the age limit and the drinking and stuff. Let me ask you this, and I know you're gonna have security there, but who's gonna monitor? I mean, you're definitely doing this event to make money, but I mean, just when you're in a more controlled environment such as a bar, you can have a little more control on how much alcohol or beer they consumed. You're going to be on this large tract of land here, and people that you're going to be serving. Who's going to monitor how much people's had to drink? And then the thing about it is, they're going to be leaving there after consuming alcohol on this property. I kind of got some concerns about that.
Yeah, and That's a valid concern. We have, in addition to the security that we have our own staff that monitors the festival, and then we also have volunteers, typically around 150, 125 to 150 for the event, and we have people specifically designed to monitor the ID check, look in the festival, make sure that people are not being overserved, things of that nature. And along with the security guards that are designated specifically at the beer tent area, they keep a very close eye on that and monitor it the same way that you would at a bar, as you mentioned.
Follow up with that right there. You said the beer tent area. So if someone goes into this area and purchases the beer, then are they going to be allowed just to go anywhere on the property while they're drinking and have to come back to this tent to buy beer?
Just within the festival area.
So they're not going to be in a designated area to drink?
The festival area is the designated area.
Okay. Well, how big an area is that consumed?
Usually about an acre.
About an acre. Okay. Thank you.
Jerry?
It was brought up that talking about the average attendance, it was saying something in the neighborhood of 16,000. You're not going to have that kind of crowd, right?
No, he took the overall average of all of our events combined. So we have some events in other areas that are 25,000, and there's an event in Michigan in the summer that's 2 months away, and there's already 22,000 people signed up for that. So it's very dependent on that. Taking that overall number and dividing it by the number of races does not indicate how many people will be at this specific race. So we are, as I mentioned, we're projecting 3,000 in that range. There's only 1,167 signed up right now, and the cap is 6,000. So we would stop it at that.
So you wouldn't have no issue with us putting that in the conditions that if this goes over 6,000, you're going to have to come back and see us.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
Because we need to know what we're approving.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. If something, having a conditional approval like that, if something were to change, I think that's right because, like you said, you guys need to know exactly what you're approving. So,
thank you.
Jerry, let me point out to you, we don't have to make a decision on this tonight. We can delay this till next month. If you feel like they don't have an adequate plan for parking and other items that you have concerns with, you can wait on this until they come up with some more concrete proposals. I'm just throwing that out to you. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. How many did you have at Bonnaroo the last time you had it?
That's what I was saying. The last 2 years at that location, we averaged 3,000 for the 2 years.
So you probably have 3,000 here then?
Correct.
Any other questions while we have him up here? Thank you. Appreciate that. Did you have another comment? If you'll come around, please. I'll give you a second.
Okay, just one more. The entire
Come on up here to the.
This, I don't have a pointer, but Charlie Johnson again. This entire area from right at the end of Parsons all the way around, that field right there that's grown up, that could be easily cleared. There's some brush and stuff that's grown up in that field. That is a very possible place for parking. And then, of course, this field with the Miller Johnson, it is clean and open. So you've really got parking from Parsons Road all the way around to the property line there on where Miller Johnson shows up. All the way around, yes, sir. That could all be. Yes, sir. It's just some scrub trees and stuff, and some of it has gotten fairly good size, but there's nothing that a D4 wouldn't take care of in short order. So that whole area could be used for parking, and that was one concern that really of all the concerns, and I know there's some legitimate concerns here, and I don't want to belittle those, but of all the concerns, the parking available should not be a concern because there's lots and lots of room. 265 acres, and believe me, we can make all kinds of parking area without a problem.
Joe?
Well, it's kind of like the gentleman said that came up here a while ago. If we don't keep the traffic running smooth and the parking's not smooth, then you're going to have backups on the road. Exactly. And like he said, I know the area too. The roads are very narrow, and it's a problem having that many cars coming up and down the road anyway. But that's the big concern that I see right now.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be
If I
seated.
may just say one more thing, there will be some inconvenience. There's no doubt about it to the people that live on Parsons Road. I mean, it's some inconvenience, and hopefully it'll be very slight. But my thought is that this is an event that's going to provide a lot of entertainment for a lot of our local youth or people in the area. It's going to bring a lot of people into Murfreesboro. The businesses in Murfreesboro are going to benefit from this. There'll be people that will stay overnight in Murfreesboro at the hotels, and it will be a benefit to Murfreesboro economically. So I would say that you have to weigh these things, I know, but I don't think it's all so negative. I think there's a lot of positive aspects to this.
Thank you. Anyone else, since we've had a couple of back up here, if you have, I know when you sit down you think of things that you wish you had said, so I'll give anyone a couple of seconds to come up before we make a decision on this. Is that all we have? Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion. I agree with the staff's findings. I'm familiar with these roads. They're very narrow. They have no shoulders. You have no place to pull over in most of the roads. You have the train that I've lived around 21 years that with no traffic usually backs up 7, 8, 10 cars on the weekends, both sides when the train comes through. I make a motion to deny this request because this is similar to the Cripple Creek deal that we turned down about a year ago. Narrow roads, no shoulders, and potential to create a huge problem with the movement
Safety
of cars.
with the train.
Yes, sir.
Safety issues with the train going through. Do we have a second?
I'm going to second the motion for discussion.
Okay, we have a second. We're open for discussion.
I just got some statements I want to make. I really don't feel good about this thing for a number of reasons. I know we kind of addressed the backup parking issue possibly. I think there's a lot of issues really right here. I think I really got a problem with it because it being in a rural area. I know they were at the Bonnaroo site. I personally had never been to Bonnaroo, but I've been by there. I know where that site's at. It's accessible from the interstate. I know this isn't probably going to be on the magnitude of the Bonnaroo, but that's an open area. It's set for that type of events. This is a rural setting. We're going to have bands out there. We're going to have all kinds of noise. I know it's a one-day event, but it is a rural setting. I understand Mr. Johnson's concerns of it's his property and he's owned it for 30 plus years. He's trying to make some money. I understand that, but at the same time, he don't live out there. He's not going to have to listen to it. These folks that live out there are. So I think if you're going to have an event like this, I say find you a commercial area to do it in. That's just my thoughts.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Gary Sartain,
No.
Thane Cantrell.
No. Motion carried, and it is denied. We have one other item that we need to take up.
Okay, this is an item that we described at the pre-meeting, and we are requesting that the board assign an activity classification for the use of an odor control facility that is related to public sewer systems. And Doug had given a brief presentation at the pre-meeting and requested that the board assign it the classification of an essential service. Excuse me. And so we are just seeking the board's action as to whether or not they agree with staff that an odor control facility in relation to a public sewer system can be considered and processed as an essential service and as part of our zoning ordinance.
What do you need? Just
a motion.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Okay, Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Thank you. You did a great job. You are adjourned.